sevens. So here's a little video from me to just explain what we're doing with bass lines. So I've just got the first page of Learning Ableton open. If you click the menu bar at the top left hand corner, you'll find that you get all of the different subject headings. And now we're going to be looking at bass lines. So clicking on bass lines, you'll find each of the lessons come up. As you click through the lessons, there's some information to read on each page, and you can click through to each little lesson. There's a track there that you can listen to. Listen for the bass line. It tells you a little bit about that bass line, how it was created, and then it shows you how that bass line sounds individually without the rest of the track, so that you can see how some of these bass lines are working. It sounds a little bit funny on its own, but when you listen to the full track up the top there, you'll then be able to hear that bass line coming through. So you might want to go between the bass line here and the track up the top and see if you can actually pull out that bass line from the recording. Sometimes it's hard to hear because it's a very low pitch sound, and the bass isn't the focus of a song, but it's really, really important because everything else is built on top of the bass line. So you can click through and listen to these various songs, and also then listening to their bass lines and see how they are constructed and put together. What you notice about a bass line is that there's not very many notes, and usually they're repeated. So you can see here this bass line, the first note is on A. If you have a look on that left hand side, it's got all the note names there. So we've got A 3 times, then it jumps up to B, C, then it stays on C for 4 notes, and then it jumps up to D, E, and then you can see E repeats. We have a little line of descending notes, and then that loop is going to repeat around. It sounds like this. Etc. And it repeats around. So it's not busy. There's not a whole lot going on. There's lots of repetition and only a few notes. You can see here they put the chords and the bass line together. I'll let you spend time having a listen to that yourself. There's a third option for you to have a little listen to here as well. I'll let you guys listen to that. You can see even fewer notes, only 3 or 4 notes in that song there. So do stop and go through and have a listen to each of these. I'm just scanning through so that you can see. This bass line is quite sparse. You can see there's lots of gaps in between these notes, lots of silence. We've got a Grimes song there that you can have a little listen to. And then this is what you're going to be focusing on this lesson, is this play with bass lines section. And this is where you get to create your own bass line. And I want to just give you a few do's and don'ts and give you a few suggestions. Firstly, make sure that your bass line is set to C up here. You can see I'm highlighting now a couple of different notes up here. These are different keys. We're going to just concentrate on C. Please make sure it's in C. You can see then these other things, major, minor, Dorian, Phrygian. These are different types of scales. Please make sure that yours is on major. So we're going to be doing a bass line in C major. I suggest that you start on C. It's a good place to start. I might repeat my C note a couple of times. Now you can see that I've put 2 of my bass notes here on the first and the second beat of the bar. I could keep doing that. These are all the beats. So if you just have a listen to that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and that's kind of what I would put in a kick drum in my drum part. Yeah, you guys did that over the last few weeks. So that's not what I'm going to do for my bass line, because that's a little bit boring. Bass line's going to move a little bit more. But I might have C, 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 and then I might move up to D, then to E. And then I might move up F to G, for example. And then I might start a little bit of a movement down back to C. So let's have a listen to what that sounds like. And I can change some of that if I'm not thrilled about it. I might add in an extra note there. And that feels quite fast, so I'm going to slow it down. You can use this slider to make it slower or faster, but I want mine a bit slower. quite a good bass line. So, few things. We only want one note playing at a time. So I would not do this in a bass line where I have multiple notes playing all at once. That's going to sound like this. All kinds of nasty. And you'll find that you can hear my iPad is kind of breaking. The sound, it has a little crack in it because it's not great. So we definitely don't want to be stacking notes in that way. We only have one note. So if I wanted to change that note, I'd need to take it out and turn it into another note. Okay, so I wouldn't have two notes playing at once. Similarly, if I clear this, I want you to avoid the desire to make patterns like this, because what you will find is you're not following the beat at all. And although it looks kind of interesting and pretty, I've made a couple of mountains there, it doesn't sound any good. And this is not a good melody and not a good bass line. So please avoid, I see this kind of thing a lot, where people just like creating things that look kind of nice, okay? But this is not a bass line. That's a cool X, but it's not actually going to tick the box as far as creating proper bass lines. It's going to sound like this. So I'm just making scales that are really kind of boring and not really how we would write a bass line for a song. So try to avoid that if you can. Another little hint, if you want, you can stretch these notes out by holding that line and pulling them across. So if I want, I could have that C held for a really long time, followed by an A, followed by an E, and then going back, and then I might have 4 quick C's. That's going to sound like this. And I could repeat that, for example, as a bass line. So I might do the same thing over again. And then I just get that repeating around 2 times. And again, this is a good demonstration of a nice clear bass line. I've only got 3 different notes that are happening and lots of repetition. Obviously I'm using that C a lot, and the A repeats and the E repeats. But this time I've used long notes. So you've got the option. You can use short notes or long notes for your bass line as you please. But remember, one note at a time, not stacking your notes like this. And also not just simply creating random patterns, okay? So you can see I'm just kind of choosing random notes like this all over the place. This is also definitely not a bass line. Have fun creating your bass lines. I'll look forward to hearing them.